Alright, how's it going and welcome back. Last week's video inspired me to do something similar. Last week, if you didn't know, I rated bookmakers, or I tier listed bookmakers in fact, and this week I'm going to be doing the same for exchanges. If you didn't know what an exchange is, basically it's a really useful platform that we use in match betting to lay bets, and this is the whole thing that allows us to make risk-free profits and it allows us to cover the other outcomes. So on a bookmaker you'd bet on Arsenal to win, on an exchange you'd lay against Arsenal to win, and that includes a draw and a loss. So it's really powerful and it's basically the most important thing in match betting. Is what match betting is. So exchanges are just basically the sites that you can lay things on, and I'm going to be ranking them. I've done the system slightly different to the last one because there's obviously a lot less exchanges out there, so hopefully this video will be a lot quicker for you. But I've gone with excellent, decent, alright and avoid. Now some pointers that I need to look out for is user interface. We've got commissions, whether the commissions are really high or there's no commissions. You've got the availability of specials, and you've also got the availability of just like normal markets for everything, or at least like liquidity in normal markets as well. So those are just things I need to think of during this video. First up, we've got probably the most important one in my opinion at the moment anyway, which is Smarkets. And for me, Smarkets goes straight into excellent. If you'd asked me this about a year ago, I probably would have put it in decent, but since then, you can now get 0% commissions permanently on Smarkets for free, which is really a big thing. If you didn't know, in match betting, having 0% commissions is going to really help long term. A lot of exchanges might have 2 or 5% commissions sort of standard, and it really does eat into your profits. You can still do it risk-free and make profits, but it just eats into those profits. So Smarkets partnered with Match Betting Blog, and now you can get 0% commissions for free, basically permanently. You've just got to redo an integrated bet every week. It's a lot easier than it sounds. Not every week, sorry, every month. It's a lot easier than it sounds though, and we've got a guide, and I'll drop the link to that if you want it as well. So Smarkets, in my opinion, has the best user interface. It's definitely the nicest to look at, and it has great liquidity on most markets. It has decent liquidity, especially on the bigger games and things like goal scorers, which can be difficult for some exchanges. So a player to score, or a player to score first, or a player to assist, it has decent liquidity. But just in general, it's where you're going to learn match betting most likely. And there's a reason for that. It's just the easiest to use. You can get 0% commissions, and it's just sort of like the main standard for match betting. Next up, we have Betfair Exchange, which is another huge exchange. I'm pretty sure Betfair Exchange operates in some other countries. I know it definitely operates in Australia as well, so I think it is pretty massive. Another great exchange. Betfair Exchange is another great exchange, but I am going to put it in decent, just based on the fact you are unable to get 0% commissions on Betfair Exchange. The lowest you can get down to is 2%. Now I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're using match betting and almost like timesing odds together, it does really add up, the 2% exchange commissions. It's not like just 2% of your profits. It actually works out to be a lot more than that. But other than that, it does have some things that are probably just as good, if not better than Smarkets, like the liquidity. So the amount you're able to lay on markets such as anytime goal scorer, first goal scorer, are better than Smarkets, to be honest. So if you really wanted to lay Kevin De Bruyne to score a goal, Smarkets might not have any liquidity available for you, so you might not actually be able to get your lay matched, but there's a greater chance that there'll be that liquidity on Betfair Exchange, which is really nice, especially when you're trying to lay these player picks for stuff like the William Hill 25% boost, which we use for players to boost them to score, or to them to score first, or 2 or more goals, or whatever. It's really useful to lay things like that. The user interface is pretty basic, to be honest, but it does its job. It's not terrible. I haven't really had any problems with it really, and it does have a lot of markets. However, it doesn't have any special markets, which is another reason why it's indecent, not excellent. For example, if you had Willie Mullins to ride 1 or more winners at Cheltenham today, you just wouldn't be able to lay that on Betfair Exchange, because they don't really cater to match bettors as much as some of these other sites like Smarkets, where Smarkets would put up an enhanced special for that and you'd be able to lay it on there, same as Betdaq, Matchbook. So that's why Betfair Exchange is on decent. There are good things and there are worse things. Next up, we have Betdaq, which, relatively speaking, at least in my opinion, with match betting, it's a new kid to the block, but it really has picked up steam in the last sort of year or two. And I'm also going to put Betdaq in decent alongside Betfair Exchange, but they are very different. They don't really do the same things. Some weaknesses with Betdaq is a lot of the time there's no player market, so you couldn't really lay against a player to score or player first goal scorer. I have seen some of these markets sometimes, and when they are there, there's no liquidity there, so there's not really anything for you to lay anyway. So that's just one qualm I guess I have with Betdaq. But where Betdaq really shines is the Betdaq enhanced specials markets. They must have a really good team that's always looking out for match betting opportunities, and there's always enhanced specials posted up there pretty quickly when they arrive. So That same thing with the Willie Mullins thing, it's going to be on Betdaq if it's from a big bookie, so you don't really have to worry about that. Another slight qualm, I guess, is you can get 0% commissions for 100 days with Betdaq when you sign up, but past that, it might be slightly more difficult to get 0% commissions. It is possible through other services, like for example, the Match Betting Empire Discord group, you can get 0% access through there. They are pretty willing to give it away if they know you are a match better. And I know you can get it through other services like Odds Monkey or whatever else. So it is possible to get 0% commissions, but maybe it's not completely free, or maybe it's slightly more difficult than something like Smarkets, which is just a website you need to follow. But yeah, it's still a solid exchange. And last but not least, we have Matchbook Betting Exchange. After thinking about it, I think I'm actually going to put Matchbook in all right. There's a few reasons for this. First of all, the standard rate of commissions on the enhanced specials is actually 5%, which is quite a lot. On normal markets, it's 2%, I think. Again, similar to Betdaq, you can get 0% commissions through certain services, but it's not completely free like Smarkets. And also the enhanced specials section, although it is good, there isn't necessarily as many options with that as it is with Betdaq. Like if you see something and you can't lay on Smarkets, you are pretty confident that it will be on Betdaq if it's from a relatively big bookie. But with Matchbook, it's not always the same. There are usually the main ones on there, but some of the smaller ones potentially aren't on there. And also Matchbook don't offer any player markets in terms of goal scorers or shots on target or anything like that, which Smarkets and Betfair Exchange does. But it is definitely a solid bookie for loads of other things. They also do promotions like stake £20 and get £20 back as a free bet if it loses and stuff like that, which some of the other exchanges don't offer, which is good. I just think certain other exchanges can be better options in terms of certain other specific things than Matchbook, but it's still a great exchange to use. So that is sort of my tier list for exchanges. Hopefully, as I said, this video was quicker because there's only 4 to go through. But the main thing is, as you progress with match betting, you are going to use a lot of different exchanges, and you need to really. There's certain things from each exchange that are more valuable than others. So Betfair Exchange for laying player markets is really good liquidity there. Smarkets user interface and 0% commissions just for free, which is really good and really important. And then Betdaq, the enhanced specials can be really useful as well. So they all have different perks, I guess. So yeah, let me know if you agree with this. I'm sure some of you will disagree on some things, but I'd love to hear what you disagree on. But this was just my opinion from my experience of match betting. I've only been match betting for a few years now, so it's not like I have the experience from when these companies were made, but I know a little bit about match betting, so hopefully that would help. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and let me know what other videos you'd like to see in the future.